What's up guys, it's Chris here with your Saturday special episode, the weekly biggest pots Saturday special, as I named it, trying to do some alliteration there. Right, so yeah, we're just going to go over the 5 biggest pots we won in this week. I've got all the things from this week here, which is 6,343 hands. So we are going to go, I do this, you go in statistics, and we're just I'm gonna review my own hands essentially. How many hands was it? 6. Oh, 6,343. Okay. Specify 6,343. And this will be loading up our weekly hands now. And we should have some interesting pots because this is the week we've made the transition from 2NL to 5NL. As I say, if you want your hands reviewed by me, then let me know. I might do them on this channel, or I might also do them on. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Yeah, so don't know. That was weird. Let me know if you want your hands reviewed. Just send them in, and link me to them in the comments or on the forums or something like that. And let me know, because I'm happy to review them. I like reviewing them, and I think I'm pretty good at reviewing them. I think I can. There's always something that I find reviewing hand in depth brings up that you don't get just by having a glance at it. If you spend like 10 minutes really going into a hand and talking through every little detail, I find that really helped improve my play, and still helps improve my play. Part of the reason I'm doing this, because as you know, part of the... Right, hold on, why is this not coming up? That's because that's ticked. Good one. Right, why is it only showing... Oh, it's because we've got the... Okay, date, I guess. Yeah, we'll just do that. Does that work? All hands? Can we do that? Go on, we can do that. Is it going to work? Yeah, I think it will this time. Yep, I did not realise the marked hands button was ticked there. I was spending too much time talking and not enough time paying attention to what was going on. Okay, here we are, we've got it. Got it sorted. So, we're just going to go with the most one. Okay. We'll do the initial countdown. 5. Let's replay this hand. So, pause. We got 10-9. Let's just turn that off so we can see things better. Got 10-9 suited in, it looks like a 2NL deep stack table, and we are in the, yeah, we're in middle position here, just trying to work out where the blinds are. Yeah, so we're in the second position round. I think this is a fine open, especially deep stacked, you know. I like this open, I like the sizing. I personally like my play pre-flop here. You want to be playing these kind of good suited connectors as much as possible at deep stack tables because there's potential to win so much money. And here we flop well. Very well, actually. We flop a gut shot, and we also flop a flush draw. So that's not bad at all. We're against a player, we're out of position. We check. Okay. We check, do we? Is that what happened? Okay. So when we check, do I like checking here? I'm not sure I like checking. I think I would actually prefer to bet this. I'm not sure why I think I might have made a misplay there. Yeah, I think betting is better. But he bets and we call. And obviously that's a brilliant turn for us, because now we make the nuts, actually. Yep, we make the nuts. So that's obviously brilliant. He bets again. This time I go for raise. When he's bet 2 streets and he's nearly gone pot here, I think this is a good raise, because I think he's rarely folding when he bets flop and turn. like this. I think he's often got an ace. I think he's also got a flush draw some of the time. But maybe, no, we've got some blockers to the flush draw because we've got two of the higher cards. You can have the king, queen of clubs, and maybe the king jack. Oh no, can't have the king jack of clubs clearly. Yeah, so he can have some flush draws, but I think mainly we're looking at an ace, maybe even a two pair hand like an ace jack, an ace 8 or an ace 7. So nothing really that he's going to be folding. He jams. At this point, I'm probably putting him on a two pair or better. I'm thinking an ace jack possibly. I've forgotten like the details of these hands, so I don't actually know what they showed up with. So I'm just reading it now. I haven't looked at it since I played it. So I'm thinking at the moment ace jack, ace 8. I think we're looking at two pair, possibly a set, because he could have played some small pairs in position there. And he shows up with a two pair and a flush draw actually. So that was the nut flush draw. So I think we played that well. I think we played that pretty well. Apart from the one bit that niggles me about that hand is the not betting the flop. I think betting the flop. I think we did get all the money in anyway, but I think if he had a weaker hand like a ace 4, ace 5, a small ace, something like that with no flush draw, we might have been able to get more value out of it. So yeah, that's that hand. Now the fourth one. Let's have a look at this. So again, we look like we're on a deep stack table at 2-L with pocket queens. So we raise, fine. Oh, we've gone a bit. What's happened here? So we get a caller from the button. What are his stats? Let's just have a look at his stats. We don't have any. Okay, so that's not going to be relevant. Flops, great for us obviously. We flop top set. Do I like the bet here? He's not going to have a queen often because we have two of them and there's one on the board. He can have a flush draw. I don't like this bet. I prefer a check here. I think if we're betting small, which is good. But I think I prefer a check here just because there's not much we can get called by. And, we have the queen of hearts as backup. So even if he does have a flush draw, we can always hit another heart to probably win the pot. I suppose there are some straight draws as well. You can have a 4-6 suited maybe. I'm not quite sure, but maybe the 12-cent bet's okay. I think checking and betting very small like this, possibly even smaller, like 10-cent, is a good way to go. As it is, he raises us quite big. So what do I put him on at this point? Maybe a combo draw, pair and a flush draw, pair and a straight draw, straight and a flush draw, straight flush draw. A lot of draws in his range when he does this. Also a lot of worse sets, maybe. Well, not a lot, but some worse sets. He's got maybe pocket 5s, pocket 3s he can have. But I think overall we're crushing his range, and we've got full house outs, even if he does have kind of like a combo draw, which would have good equity against the set. We've got full house outs. So I think then re-raising him and 3-betting this is fine. I like it, and I think we're making it fairly big for a flop 3-bet here. Yeah, fairly big because we're trying to charge his draws the maximum. Obviously we want him to call if he's got a bare flush draw or a bare straight draw because we're big favourite against that, and we'll know if it hits because we can see if a heart comes and we can see if one of the straighty cards comes. So he calls. Now the 9 in this situation is pretty much a brick. I mean, it does bring a second flush draw onto the board, but he's not going to be calling flop with 2 spades unless it's by coincidence a lot of the time. I can't see him having 9-9 here, so I don't think that he's made a worse set either. I just think that's a pretty, in this situation, a pretty brick-like card. So we bet again, and he goes all in at this point. So yeah, I'm guessing still maybe a combo draw. I don't think he'd be doing this with a flush draw on the turn. I think possibly a combo draw, but I'm thinking more like maybe a worse set now, of 5s or 3s. Unless he flatted an overpair like kings or aces. I mean, you never know what they do at this stake, and I've got no information on them. But yeah, it's interesting to see what he's got here. Obviously, we call that, you know. There you go. He did have a worse queen, a better a queen even. Interesting. I mean, the reason I didn't put many queens into his range was simply because, well, there's 2 here, 1 here. There's only 1 left, so the chances of him having it are fairly low. But okay, he showed up with a queen as well. I suppose that is a part of his range. Okay, that was a good hand. Nice hand. I think he might have been overvaluing it a little there. I don't know. No, maybe he thought we were on a draw. I suppose that's legitimate. Right, do we have info on these guys? A little bit on him. We'll just see what happens. So we've got queens again. So it's min-raised by... Min-raising in deep stack tables is rare, actually, yeah. It's min-raised by this guy who's got an 80% VPIP from, and he's raising from early position with a min-raise. And then he gets just called here by this guy. 2 weaker players here, I would say, based on the play here. And then it falls around to us. We make a big raise because we're out of position, and because there's 2 players in the pot, and based on their stats, I'm not sure they're going to fold. And neither of them do actually fold. So we assume we're against 2 weaker players here, which is why I like this bet. Usually I wouldn't like this bet because there's not much they can call with, but because we're against weaker players, I imagine they're going to float a lot of things. Ace, king, well, ace, kings, ace, x, basically. Any 2 overcards, I imagine that they'll consider floating some of the time. You can also tell that this guy might be a weaker player because he hasn't got a full stack. Unless you're a dedicated mid-stacker, most regulars will use a full stack and they'll do the auto rebuy, like myself, every time. So I'm assuming that we can get value from random overcards here, and also obviously from higher pocket pairs that they might have. This guy folds, but this guy raises. So what do I think here? I don't think he's got a 4 barely at all here. I mean, with his stats, maybe we don't really have any information. We've got like 6 hands information on this guy, so actually I can't really bring his stats into it. I think often he's doing this with a pair between 5 and jacks, like 5s. Although I think he might have 3-bet jacks. But then again, players at this stake are quite passive, so maybe he wouldn't. I think it's most likely a medium pocket pair, or a hand like ace-king, which he's really overvaluing. So we call, just because if he does have a medium pocket pair, I don't think he's really going to want to go all in with it. If we call, he's not going to. If we go all in even, he's not going to call with it some of the time. So I want to let him barrel it off, thinking it's the best hand, which he does indeed do. Right, river's an 8. He shows over. Okay. Well, as I said, random overcards. You never know. I wasn't quite thinking that random, but whatever. Okay. I think he was obviously just trying to bluff us off the hand, thinking we had nothing. But yeah, okay, I'm pretty happy with how we played that hand. Obviously, there were some things that could beat us, like a 4, or we might get outdrawn, but you can never worry about that sort of stuff. You've just got to try and get your money with the best hand. So is this the second biggest pot, I believe? Yep. So we'll open Jack Queen here. We're only 5-handed, which is why I open from under the gun. We get called on by 3 people. We've got stats on this guy a little, and this guy a tiny bit as well. These 2 we've got a tiny bit of stats, but nothing really useful. This guy we can sort of use the VP a bit and PR maybe, but not that much still. 45 hand samples not really enough. So this was at the 5NL normal tables, 5NL 6 max tables even. No deep stacked is what I meant by normal. So we'll get rid of the stats because I don't think we can reliably use them. Well, here we flop not very much. We checks round. That's a good turn, because now we've got second pair, and I'm assuming that they probably bet a king. Not all the time, but I think a lot of the time they bet a king. And also brings us the second nut flush draw as well, because obviously the queen and the king of diamonds are both on the board, so the only better flush draw that someone can have is the ace of diamonds, which is possible. But a lot of hands with an ace in, they might re-raise. So when he bets here, what am I thinking? I'm thinking he might have hit a pair with the queen, might have a worse queen, might even have a better queen. So, but you know, I've got second pair, and a flush draw and the second up flush draw, so I'm not folding here. Even to a raise, I'm calling this now. I just call because I want both of these guys in the pot, because I'm thinking if I hit my flush here, they might pay me off with worse hands. When this guy raises, when Math raises, I'm putting him on a worse flush draw. I'm thinking possibly there is a multi-way pot when he calls, so he could have suited connectors like the 6, so he might have a 6 or 7 high, or 9 or 10 high flush draw here. And this guy had shown down a couple of odd hands in the times, you know, when he's gone to showdown, I'd noticed. So he could also have a flush draw, but he could have pretty much, I'm putting this guy's range at pretty wide. When he calls the raise, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, he's probably got a queen, possibly a flush draw, and then that's the best card in the deck, obviously, because it gives us the nuts. Well, apart from, well, yeah, it does give us the nuts, because no one can have Jack 10 of diamonds for the royal flush. So we are feeling pretty happy right now, because we have the nuts. So we're just going to try and get value here. And I think, you know, the pot's big enough for us to just shove. I think players at this stake level call too much. Dembledorf calls straight away. This guy folds. And he actually showed me, I think he showed me the 3-4 of diamonds. So he had the flush on the turn. This guy I'm putting on, yeah, pretty much anything. I mean, when he calls this, probably a flush himself, maybe 9 high, 10 high. As I say, these guys can have suit connectors and stuff. Yeah, 10-7 of diamonds. So both had flushes. Fortunately, I just drew out on them. But I thought, you know, I can win a big pot if I do that. So I think that hand went pretty well. Might have been a bit steaming from a hand I just lost when I ran the queens into the kings. Queens into ace king, and I lost a coin flip just before this. But I think my call on the turn was better, because one of them could easily have had a made flush, and I thought would be able to extract a lot of money if that other diamond did hit. Could have folded there as well, but I just felt that we could extract a lot of money from both of them. Right, biggest pot. Good. Pocket sixes. This is a good pot. This is a good pot. So, deep stack table is 5-L. This guy raises under the gun. As you can see, his stats aren't really usable. But he's played a lot of hands. He raised on the gun. I don't give it that much credit. But, I mean, sorry, I do give it a bit of credit because it's 7x, which is quite big, and it is under the gun. So despite the fact he's played a lot of hands, I do actually give this a bit of credit, which is why I call them my pocket sixes, because we're deep stacked, and because if I hit a set, I think I can get paid off, essentially, which is why you would want to set mine, because you can make money on the flop, turn, river, right? So this guy raises, and I give this a lot of credit. If you look at his stats, No 3-betting in 31 hands so far, quite tight. He looks solid. And he was at a couple of my other tables as well. Showing down pretty solid stuff. I didn't think he'd be getting too out of line. Again, which is why I called. Now, obviously, brilliant flop for me. I'm slightly worried about pocket queens and pocket jacks, naturally. But he can also have a lot of hands he's getting it in with eventually, like pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, ace king to the Broadway gutter. He can have straight draws, he can have overpairs, potentially kings, aces. His range has all that good stuff in it, which we can get paid off with. And he can even have the queen jack, of course. He can have king queen, ace queen, all this stuff that's going to get money. So he bets quite big. I assume that because he continues with this and bets fairly big, he's got something here. I suspect he's got something. This doesn't look like he's going to be bluffing that much on this flop. So I raise it to 4. It's quite a big raise. I'm trying to extract maximum value from it. He goes all in. Easiest call in the world for me. Sometimes we're behind, sure, but it's just a cooler if we are. And we're not. So he has pocket kings. Great stuff. And we fade the 2-outer to win the hand, which is good. And that was the biggest pot, 25-23 in that pot. Now, it's easy to play the winning pots well, but to play the losing pots well is maybe something else. So we'll just see. I will criticise my own play relentlessly here. As Dumbledore again. Come up against him constantly. Do we have any reads on him? No. We'll get rid of those then. Queen 8 suited on the button. We're just going to raise this. He calls. Brilliant flop. Flush draw. Top pair. So we're... did we check that again? I want to know if we checked that. Oh no, because he's acting first. Yeah. So he bets. We call. Donk bets can be quite strong, or they can be quite weak at the micros. But more often I find that they're actually quite strong at the micros. So I'm wondering, can he have a better queen? Sure. Can he have a better flush draw? Sure. I mean, I don't want to get it in to find out that I'm drawing nearly dead. That's the thing. When he donk bets, I actually expect him to have a better flush draw, or a flush draw, quite a lot of the time. So the question is it a lower flush draw? Is it a higher flush draw? Well, it could go either way, because he'll play a lot of ace x, king x, and he'll have run into the flush draw with them. He'll also play some other stuff, but because he called from the small blind, I'm actually putting him on a lot of ace x here. Small suited aces are good to call from the small blind, and I expect him to have them a fair amount of the time, which is why I actually just call down when the flush hits. You can make an argument for raising, because you will get called by some worse hands, but I just felt he has an ace. The ace of and something of hearts a lot of the time in this spot. So I actually think I played this pretty well. I just called, which, and yeah, he showed down the nut flush. Which, yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how I played it. I don't think there's any way I could have won that hand, and I don't think there's any way I could have got away from it with losing less money. You simply can't fold a queen high flush because he's betting so many worse things, but you can just minimise your losses by calling with it. So I'm pleasantly surprised by how I played that hand. I was expecting all these hands to be rubbish, and most of them probably will be. So, 9-8 suited. Wait, do we have any reads? No. That's not enough to base reads on. I wouldn't base any of my play on those sort of stats. So this is 5-0. This is probably the bottom of my calling 3-bet range. I think this is a good one to call because he's 3-betting some fairly, he's got some strong hands in his range here. And I feel that if we hit a flush or a straight or whatever, we can get paid off in it. But I wouldn't be calling this with 9-7 or 10-8. I wouldn't be calling it with a suited one gapper. just because they have less potential. But this hand is, you know, really good, has loads of flop potential. And, well, doesn't flop much better than that. So we've got a top pair with an open-ended straight draw and an overcard. I expect him to have an overpair sometime. I expect him to have 2 overcards sometimes. I expect him to have a set sometimes as well. When he's re-raised me, he could have easily done it with pocket 8s, pocket 7s, pocket 6s. Although that's less likely. I think most often we've got like an overcards or overpair. So I just lost my train of thought. I check. He bets about 2/3 pot. I call. I'm not folding here, but I think if he's got an overpair, he's never folding, and I don't want to get it in with the worst hand. So I think this is a spot where just calling with the draw is fine. I mean, the reason you raise with draws is because you think you have fold equity, and I didn't think I had enough fold equity here. So the queen, not a good card for us because he might well have a queen. He could well be barreling that, you know, c-betting that flop with a hand like ace queen. Although I don't expect him to be bluffing on that flop much because there's a, you know, it's very connected. There's a lot we can call with. So I do expect him to have an overpair a decent amount of the time. He bets again. That, you know, it's a 7 of clubs, not a good card for us. And then we check it down. Not expecting any, you know, ever to be ahead really with our 8s. And he has kings. I was putting him on overpair, he had an overpair. We didn't hit our draw, but I think we lost the minimum. Now you see, if I'd have raised that flop, as you know, some people play, you know, draws aggressively all the time. If I raise that flop, he's going all in, and then that folds out my equity because I can't really call. I mean, you could possibly call, but I'm not happy about it because I'm not really a favourite. So I think I played that hand pretty well, actually. I mean, you could argue that calling pre-flop the 3-bet was a bit marginal, perhaps. That's the one thing you could argue, but that's just how I play. I like to do that. Mixed up a bit. So have we got any reads? Again, not really. We can sort of have a glance at them, I suppose. Got a raise. We call 6-4 suited. Nice hand. One of my favourite hands. Flops pretty well on boards that don't look like it would flop well. So yeah, we're just gonna take this into a multi-way pot. Did I call that? Yeah, I think because the pot odds were good because these guys had already put some money in. I thought the odds were good enough to call with this hand. Just because, yeah, the odds were good there. And also this guy had been playing a lot of hands and 3-betting a lot of hands so far. So we got the flush draw on the flop. And we actually bet into it, him there. I feel like if he's got a hand like King Queen or maybe pocket 8s, pocket 10s, pocket jacks, he might consider folding. Or it might scare him enough that I can continue barreling on the turn. So after that, after the raise, I'm not too happy. But because we paid so much already, I don't really want to fold on that. I mean, possibly I could have folded, yeah. Maybe that's a bad play. I definitely could have folded there. And we both check that. We get to see the river for free. He has ace queen, which we would have been able to get value from had we hit our flush, but it was just a case of not hitting the draw again. But yeah, I think maybe I didn't play that optimally. I think maybe calling the big re-raise on the flop was perhaps not ideal. Here we are. We got some reads here. We got kings, and this is 2NL deep stack, isn't it? Oh yeah, I remember this hand. We're just going to whiz through it. So we raise, we get 3-bet here. We 4-bet with kings naturally, and we basically get it all in pre-flop. And yeah, it's quite obvious what he has here, isn't it? Yep, standard cooler. Now it brings up a big issue I've been thinking about. Can you fold kings pre-flop in deep stack games? I don't think you can ever fold a kings pre-flop for 100 big blinds, but could you maybe fold them in deep stack games? I mean, after this, I thought to myself, is he doing this with any other hand apart from aces? Is he doing this with queens? Is he doing this with jacks? No. Ace king, probably not. I don't know, it's just it's an interesting thing. But yeah, that was just a standard cooler, I feel. In this hand, we got queens, the biggest pot we lost of the week. We 3-bet queens on the button, fine. We get 4-bet. We 5-bet, we get it in pre-flop. Yeah, can you guess what hand he had here? That's right, he had ace king. Coin flip, and we lost it. So, again, I don't think we can follow that, because that's just 100 big blinds game. I'm thinking queens is an auto stack off for 100 big blinds. Let me know what you think of those. I think I made some mistakes, especially on that 6-4 hand. That's the one where I really made some mistakes. But apart from that, I don't think I played the other pots too badly there. I think there were some coolers, and I think I lost the minimum on that one with the nut flush into the third nut flush. So let me think. Let me know what you think. And make sure to like, comment and subscribe. There will be 2 videos up tomorrow, I hope. We should have the tournament video and the standard video, maybe even a double session, so you might even get 3 videos. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, share with your friends, let them know this channel is up and running. And talk to me on the forums, and definitely send me any hands you want me to review, because I really want to start doing that. A couple of people said that they really liked that one where I started the video with the reviewing of that hand where I had 5s against ace king and stacked him. They thought that going into depth with that hand was really good. So I would like it if you guys could send me some hands. That'd be really good. And obviously you get the reviewing of the hand for free, and I get to put it in my video and make the rest of you guys give you some quality content. So thank you very much, and bye for now.